Please be seated. Good morning. Today, with ringing the peace bowl, we affirm our collective hope for peace. We acknowledge that these lands that we love are the ancestral lands of the Yavapai people. Welcome to Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Prescott, Arizona. Thank you for coming today on this special Super Bowl day. It's lovely to be with you again. I haven't been here for a while, so it's really great to see everybody. Thank you, thank you. My name is Ria Batterman, and I am your worship associate for today. We extend a warm welcome to all. I'm glad that you're able to join us. I hope you're in good health. That's the most important. This is the mission statement of our congregation. We are a compassionate spiritual community that celebrates diversity, nurtures the personal and spiritual growth of all ages, shares our gifts, promotes justice for all, and serves the world we live in. Please join us after the service across the hall in Davis Hall for socializing in small groups. If you are here on Zoom, you could hop into the chat rooms after. Hi, Zooms. My people are waving. If you're joining us for the first time, please check out our website at prescottuu.org for more information about us. And if you are here in person, there will be time to introduce yourself. If you're here for the first time, actually, I don't know if anybody is, but that would be nice. And there are refreshments across the hall in Davis Hall. Please take a moment to put your phone on worship mode. And you can see the announcements, oops, somewhere. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I messed it up or whatever. You can read what's happening about other things in Granite Peak UU Weekly Peak, our website, and in Reverend Patty's videos, and also the order of service. Thank you to Deidre Schwartz, our tech person today, and to Chris Hawthorne, our coffee guy. I don't know where he went. Oh, there you are. Hi. And all our other volunteers this morning. And also thank you to Sandra Palacios, who is the Faith Development Coordinator, doing a great job with the kids ages 5 and older. And we also have nursery for kids that are under 5, and that's here in this building. Now I would like to welcome our very special guest speaker, our very own Marianne Clark, with opening words.
I changed the order of service, and so I've confused people, but I think we have booted up to play the opening song. Is that right, Deidre? Yeah, let's go ahead and do it now. And then I'll say my opening words. You'll recognize the song if you want to sing along.
Spacious skies forever away.
Okay. In the winter issue, in the 1967, so consider the source, winter issue of Daedalus, the Journal of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, the American sociologist and Elliott Professor of Sociology at the University of California at Berkeley, Robert Bellah, he wrote, while some have argued that Christianity is the national faith and that others, that church and synagogue celebrate only the generalized religion of the American way of life, few have realized that there actually exists alongside of and clearly differentiated from the churches an elaborate and well-instituted civil religion in America. This article, he goes on, argues not only that there is such a thing as civil religion in America, but also that this religion, or perhaps better, this religious dimension, has its own seriousness and integrity and requires some care and understanding. It requires the same care and understanding as any other religion does. In the accompanying footnote, he continues, why something so obvious should have escaped serious analytical attention is itself an interesting problem. Part of the reason is probably the controversial nature of the subject. From the earliest years of the 19th century, conservative religious and political groups have argued that Christianity is in fact the national religion. Some of them from time to time, and as recently as the 1950s, proposed constitutional amendments that would explicitly recognize the sovereignty of Christ. In defending the doctrine of separation of church and state, opponents of such groups have denied that the national polity has intrinsically anything to do with religion at all. The moderates on this issue have insisted that the American state has taken a permissive and indeed supportive attitude towards religious groups, tax exemptions and that sort of thing, thus favoring religion, but still missing the positive institutionalism with which I am concerned. But part of the reason this issue has been left in obscurity is certainly due to the particularly Western concept of religion as denoting a single type of collectivity of which an individual can be a member of one and only one at a time. The Durkheimian notion that every group has a religious dimension, which would be seen as obvious in Southern or Eastern Asia, is foreign to us. This obscures the recognition of such dimensions in our own society.
We begin our service in the Unitarian Universalist tradition of lighting this chalice. Mary Ann Clark will light the chalice today for us. Today, we light the chalice with these words. As Unitarian Universalists, we join with our founders in proclaiming, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all people are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among us, these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We light this chalice as a beacon of the values that hold us together as a congregation and a society. And now here's Mary Ann with some more words.
That's my job today, say words. So as part of his Daedalus article, Robert Bellah also said, I'm going to quote some more from him and then we'll be done with him. John F. Kennedy's inaugural address of January 20, 1961, serves as an example and a clue with which to introduce this complex subject of American civil religion. That address begins. We observe today not a victory of party, but a celebration of freedom, symbolizing an end as well as a beginning, signifying renewal as well as change. For I have sworn before you and God Almighty the same solemn oath our forebears prescribed nearly a century and 3/4 ago. Then Bellah continues, the world is very different now. Or this is the continuation of JFK. The world is very different now, for man holds in his mortal hands the power to abolish all forms of human poverty and to abolish all forms of human life. And yet the same revolutionary beliefs for which our forebears fought are still at issue around the globe. The belief that the rights of people came not from the generosity of the state, but from the hand of God. And Kennedy's address concludes, finally, whether you are citizens of America or of the world, ask of us the same high standards of strength and sacrifice that we would ask of you. With a good conscience, our only sure reward, with history the final judge of our deeds, let us go forth to lead the land we love, asking his blessing and his help, but knowing that here on earth, God's work must truly be our own. Bellah continues his article. These are the 3 places in this brief address in which Kennedy mentions the name of God. If we could understand why he mentioned God, the way in which he did, and what he meant to say in those 3 references, we would understand much about American civil religion. But this is not a simple or obvious task. The American students of religion would probably widely differ in their interpretation of these passages.
Please join me now saying the words of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community. Thus do we covenant together. And now we will hear and see a video with Tracy Augustine talking about the stewardship drive.
Hi, I'm Tracy Augustine, and I wanted to share with you a few reasons why Chris Hawthorne and I became members of Granite Peak UU and why we're happy to pledge again this year. When we first moved here from Gilbert via Northern California, we knew we were moving to a more conservative area, and we knew we would have to find our people. What we didn't know is that we would also find a new faith and a new congregation. When we came here shortly after we moved, we went to the vigil for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and Reverend Patty Willis spoke, and we were very moved by her, what she was saying. And so we checked out the service online, and it really spoke to us. And then we wound up continuing to do the services through the pandemic, all through Zoom. And we didn't really know about Unitarian Universalism when we started coming here. We didn't know there was this organization or faith that focused on community, focused on social justice, focused on connection to the earth. And it really resonated with us. So we were happy to join, and we have gotten so much out of Granite Peak, so much more than we feel we have given. We have found a wonderful, warm congregation full of smart people, people who care about the community, people who are constantly seeking and learning, and are very fun as well. And outside of the services, we've loved going to the auction. We've loved participating in empty bowls and so many other activities. So again, it was an easy decision for us to become members. We're so grateful, and we're happy to pledge again this year, and I hope you'll consider those reasons that speak to you as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Hi,
Are you here? No, she's not. Oh my God, this scared me. Okay. On that note, I'd like to remind everybody to sign up for the Granite Peak yearly dinner on March 4th. I think you could sign up. I'm not sure with who. Oh, Elaine, she's raising her hand. So it's a great night. We always have a lot of fun, and it's really just great get together and socializing. And now for our joys and sorrows. Our beloved community is the heart of Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist congregation. As we experience time of meditation and music, we will take a few minutes silently to acknowledge the joys and concerns and hearts that are on our minds. If there is an event which moves you to a joy or a concern, hope, gratitude, I invite you to come forward silently and drop a pebble from the dish into our communal water as an affirmation of our connection to one another. So please feel free. May our joys and concerns, surrounded by the healing communal water of our beloved community, be acknowledged today. So may it be.
Walking with you is my prayer.
Thanks, Russ, I heard you. Now it's time to do the offertory. As we prepare to take the offering this morning, let us embrace the feeling of connection and community that we have when we gather here each week. Let us remember that this congregation and its programs are supported by your generosity. We also give back to the greater community through our Seeds of Support program. This month's recipient is the Hungry Kids Project, and you could read about them to get more information in the order of service or check it out online. It's really a worthwhile organization. To give online, the link is available in the chat or you can also go to the website, the UU website. Please enjoy our music now by Kate Smith, and she sang this in 1943. I was 1 year old, singing God Bless America.
And now we take great pleasure in presenting to you the star of our program, Miss Kate Smith.
Hello, everybody. It is my happy privilege to introduce a new song, God Bless America. While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair, as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountain to the prairie to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairie to the ocean.
Goodbye, Daddy.
Bye, Dad. Don't be late.
No?
White with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet
Right, Pop?
Right, son.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America.
Kind of makes you think of Blake, doesn't it?
My home,
Makes you think of a lot of things. We're going to be in this yet, Mom.
From the mountains to the prairies to the ocean, white with foam. God bless
Hello, son.
Hi, Mom. Hello, darling.
New song?
Brand new, first time of the year. Brand new, my eye. You know, I threw that song out of Yip Yip Yap Hank 22 years ago. Sounds better now.
God bless America.
bold, right? We acknowledge the generosity of the Spirit expressed through this offering. What is given in love is received in gratitude. Blessed be. And once again, Mary Ann.
Put water under here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Good morning. Are you all up now? A month or so ago, the worship committee asked me if I'd talk about something from my faith development presentation that comes from the book, God is Not One. Being a good Unitarian, and that's what was in the newsletter. Being a good Unitarian, I decided to present this topic, which is not exactly from the book, which I won't be able to talk about during those classes, although I've often done this when I've done that book in my college classes. Often when we talk about civil religion, we think about the state religions of nations like Islam in the Middle Eastern countries or Confucianism in China. As Bellah suggests, some Americans like to think that some form of Christianity is the state religion of the United States. However, many more of us reject that notion, often citing the First Amendment of the Constitution that begins, Congress will make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. However, in the mid-20th century, sociologists were often concerned that without a common ancestry or an official state religion, Americans would have nothing to hold them together as a society. In his 1967 article, Bellah suggests Americans do participate in a type of civil religion, independent of their personal religious beliefs, or as in the case of many Unitarian Universalists, the lack thereof. He argues that a common pseudo-religion gives America a distinct identity and provides a quasi-religious foundation for our society. I suspect that many of you sitting here today are already exempting yourself from identification with an American civil religion. But as we move forward today, I will suggest that few of us really stand outside of the collection of beliefs, symbols, and rituals that Bellah suggests holds our society together. Religious studies scholars look for certain kinds of beliefs and practices in order to determine whether something can be said to form a religious tradition. These include a set of basic dogmas, important founding events and figures associated with that foundation, common symbols, including important documents, what we might call scripture, sacred places and holidays, and ways of articulating commonly held values. This morning, I want to use these characteristics to analyze contemporary American society and see if Bellah's suggestion of an American civil religion in the mid-20th century continues to stand up to such scrutiny today. In his book, The Social Contract, the French philosopher Rousseau outlines what he thinks are the basic dogmas of American civil religion as number one, a belief in the existence of God. Number two, similar ideas about the life to come, including number three, rewards for virtue and punishments for vice, and the exclusion of religious intolerance, and finally, an understanding that other beliefs and practices are outside the purview of the state. Bellah builds on Rousseau's work to say that these basic tenets of civil religion can be found in the speeches and writings of great Americans, from the founding fathers to today's presidents and politicians. Let's look at what Bellah and Rousseau meant. Of particular importance to this idea of an American civil religion is a particular conception of God as creator and higher power that stands in judgment over the world and its inhabitants. Bellah notes that Kennedy began and ended his inaugural address by invoking God. President Biden ends every speech by calling on God to protect our truths. Other presidents have commonly included God in their speeches. Some people may say that these statements of religion are mere purely ceremonial way, that the mention of God is a way to appeal to particular portions of their audiences. However, Bellah notes that these references do not refer to any particular religion, not even Kennedy and Biden's Catholicism or the Protestant religions of other presidents. Instead, when civic leaders call on God, they generally do so in a way that almost all Americans can accept, regardless of their personal understanding of the word. The God invoked by these speakers is shaped by Christianity, but is not itself a form of Christianity. Instead, this God is less the personal savior of today's Christians, but instead is a rather austere being interested in and involved in human history. Although many of our founders were deists in orientation, this conception of God goes beyond the deist clockmaker God. Instead, the God of our civil religion is more like the God of ancient Israel. This God injects himself into human history. For example, to lead his people away from the land of their birth to the promised land in a new social order. In this viewpoint, America is seen as a golden city set on a hill, as a beacon and model for other nations, a chosen nation, similar to Israel, the Hebrew Bible, a nation that shares common values embedded in our founding documents. We find these values in the Declaration of Independence, which says that all men or people are created equal and endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Or the opening words of the Constitution that proclaim the goal to form a more perfect union. Or the very first 10 amendments to the Constitution, which we call our Bill of Rights. We realize that these are idealized statements, often violated in the day-to-day workings of our society, but they continue to be held up as our ideals, embodying the type of society we are trying to create. The Declaration of Independence, the Constitution with its Bill of Rights, are not the only sacred scriptures of our civil religion. We can all think of others. Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. These documents are important because they shape our common understanding of what the nation stands for and how it should react under pressure. In addition to these important documents are historic figures that we hold up as exemplars, including George Washington, our founding Moses, and Abraham Lincoln, a Christ-like martyred figure who saved the nation and freed the enslaved. John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King are other martyred figures in our civil pantheon. Our civil religion also includes important places, including the Washington and Lincoln monuments, our national parks, cemeteries like the National Cemetery in Arlington and our own national cemetery here on Highway 69. Civil holidays help bring us together as a nation. What are our civil holidays? Thanksgiving, Memorial Day, Independence Day, Veterans Day, President's Day. Other symbols include both the flag and the national anthem. You may be thinking, we're not unique in this. Every nation has these kind of symbols, which is true. And I want you to think about the ways we treat these symbols as sacred. I had asked to have a flag at the front of our space this morning, but we couldn't find it. I'm sure we have one. I just couldn't figure out where it was. Anyway, so imagine. For the most cynical among us, this is merely a colored piece of cloth. I was always able to shock my students, and I suspect you as well. If I asked you to imagine having spilled my coffee or my water up here, I turned, grabbed that piece of cloth, and used it to wipe up my spill. Sacrilege. We even have laws protecting this piece of fabric from weather and telling us the right way to dispose of it when it becomes too tattered to be flown. This civil religion is not, however, meant to be a substitute for one's personal religion. Instead, Bellah suggests it supplements each individual's own religious beliefs and practices. On the one hand, the freedom of religion embedded in the American Constitution allows for a wide range of personal piety and behavior beyond our common civil religion, provides for this beyond, I'm sorry, I got confused here. I write these really long sentences. Who wrote this? On the one hand, the freedom of religion embedded in the American Constitution allows for a wide range of personal piety and behavior, while our common civil religion provides the basis for communal beliefs and practices. And on the other hand, officials acting in their civil capacity are expected to set aside their individual religious views and operate under the rubric of the civil religion. Like all human institutions, American civil religion has both strengths and weaknesses. Critics of American civil religion often say that it's a watered down version of some reified form of Christianity, that it ought to be replaced with the real thing. But Bellah suggests that at its best, civil religion has neither been so general that it has lacked incisive relevance to the American seed, nor so particular that it's placed American society above universal human values. Surprisingly, American churches have generally accepted American civil religion as functioning alongside their own. While churches and individuals may push to move Americans towards a particular religious stance, there has generally been a graceful acceptance of the separation between church and state and an acceptance of these national religious symbols. Since American civil religion has been neither anti-clerical nor aggressively secular, there continues to be a place for both personal and civil religion within the lives of the people. Bellah suggests that this has been a great achievement of the American society. Few other nations have been able to maintain both religious diversity and a strong civil religion. He cites France, where anti-clericalism of their revolution continues to plague the nation, and which we might suggest works against the integration of their many Islamic citizens. Other nations with strong national religions have not been able to gracefully integrate a diversity of religious beliefs and practices. At the same time, American civil religion has not always been for the highest and best cause. The theme of the American Israel has been used to justify shameful treatment of Native Americans, and the ideals of the manifest destiny have been used to justify American imperialism. When Bellah was writing, the nation was in the midst of both an international Cold War and a hot war in Vietnam, a war that many asserted we would win because God was on our side. In our own time, we have seen American civil religion used to justify wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and idolatry. I'm sorry. Now I'm really gone. An ideal that you're either with us or against us, and an invocation of religious sacrifice, particularly in respect to our fighting men and women. Bellah looks to the way what he calls American Legion type idolatry that fuses God, country, and flag, that this has been used to attack non-conformist and liberal ideas in groups of all kinds. That may sound familiar. He calls this a perversion of the American civil religion. I think Bellah would have been appalled at the conflation of certain religious traditions and the promotion of a certain type of Christian religiosity, and even Christian nationalism over the past 5 or 6 years. In an NPR episode of All Things Considered from April 2021, the author notes that some of those who invaded the US Capitol on January 6th said they were led by their Christian beliefs, even as members of the Capitol Police warned they were violating a sacred space. He questioned whether the collection of beliefs and practices of our civil religion would continue to inspire the nation and hold it together. Others have questioned whether our civil religion can continue to hold the nation together in its current political context. Bellah's original essay was written as a prophetic cry against the war in Vietnam, which he considered a time of trial comparable to the Revolution and the Civil War. Trials seem to have continued as the religious right seems to be substituting what they call Judeo-Christian values for more generic and non-sectarian values that Bellah identified. Soon after President Trump's election in 2016, Mark Silk, a professor of religion and public life at Trinity College, published an essay decrying the ways the president-elect and his followers seem to denounce the shared values of American civil religion. We can certainly argue that Silk's fears for the ensuing 4 years were justified. However, we might be heartened by Trump's subsequent defeat and President Biden's return to those same values. As JFK said, the fate of the nation certainly appears to be at a crossroads. However, I would suggest the common values, symbols, and documents that form our civil religion and have held us together through past conflicts are still available to support the continuation of this great experiment. Perhaps we can be encouraged by the closing words of Kennedy's inaugural address. Quote, "Now the trumpet summons us again, not as a call to bear arms, though arms we need, not as a call to battle, though embattled we are, but as a call to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of humanity, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself," unquote. I would like to close our consideration of these ideas with another patriotic song. This one is "Lift Every Voice and Sing," sometimes known as the Black National Anthem. It reminds us not only of how far we've come as a nation, but also of the challenges that remain. Please rise as you are willing and able, and join me in singing "Lift Every Voice and Sing."
Ring with the harmony.
wow is all I could say. Let's hear it from Marion because I think this was such a great service. Thank you. Wow, again, it's really moving. Now we're going to extinguish the chalice. We extinguish flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now please enjoy a video of Stars and Stripes. Yes, another patriotic song.
John Philip Sousa led the Marine Band to new heights of popularity during his tenure as leader from 1880 to 1892. It was during this era that he earned the title the March King, a well-deserved nickname that continues to this day. Of the 136 marches he composed, one has stood out above all the rest. It was composed in 1896 as Sousa sailed back home from a long European vacation. The inspiration for this march was born of a combination of homesickness, fond memories of his time as leader of the Marine Band, and his stirring recollection of the American flag flying over the White House. The resulting march became his best-known work, and in 1987, it officially became our national march, the Stars and Stripes Forever.
Now I'd like to have Barb and I come up and talk to you about our rummage sale. This is really not the proper thing, but Patty's not here. We don't care.
It's my fault. I talked her into it. I'm having trouble getting information out and I get lots of questions. I'll be around for a few minutes in Davis Hall afterwards to answer questions. But for everybody and you folks at home too, here's some things to start thinking about now. Start saving your grocery bags. As you know, we pack up everything in bags. I don't care what kind of bags, just bags. If you're at home and you're going to be donating sheets and blankets and things, measure them or at least tell us if they are king, queen, or whatever. If you don't, we have to spread them out, measure them, wrap them back up. So that would save us a bundle of time. Starting next week after the service in Davis Hall, there will be sign-up sheets. Please, please sign up as soon as you know what days you're able to help so we know when to start calling in the reinforcements. I'm going to need some cashiers this year, and I will try to place every new cashier with someone who already has experience at it. I'm going to emphasize this because I've had several questions even after announcement went out. We cannot take furniture any longer. We no longer have the boutique in the office area, so we have to move things out of Davis Hall into here, and we just don't have room, nor do we have the strong backs available anymore that we had when we were all 10 years younger. So I'm sorry, we can't take furniture. If you have some really special items that you would really like, think they would sell, Marian Erickson is willing to help you list them online as long as the money that they receive from it is going to go to the auction. And she's willing to do that all year long. If you have something you think you would like to get rid of and try selling online, as long as you're donating it to the auction, we can take money in all year long and have it go towards the auction. We're supposed to make $5,000 this year to help them balance the budget. That's a lot of money when you're talking anything from a quarter to a few dollars a piece on the items. 3 or 4 weeks from today, on Sunday, we will be putting these chairs up here and having them out of the way so that Monday morning we can bring in tables, ladders, the boxes. You're supposed to start bringing things in starting on Monday. But if you're coming over on Sunday and you have some things you want to bring in and you don't want to make a trip back later in the week, feel free, but do not bring it in until the service is over. And we get the chairs put up because we won't have place to let you store it until we can get it sorted. So rummage sale, rummage sale, rummage sale, rummage sale.
Rummage sale, rummage sale. Thank you, Barb. Now I invite you to greet your neighbor and take as much time as you need. And Zoom people, you could go into your chat rooms. Thank you. Nice to see you guys. Miss you.